Hi, it's Chef Rick, and today I'm making a lamb tagine.
Very, very easy one this, but super impressive. We're going to start with 2 onions, just normal brown onions, which we're going to top. So we're going to take off the very top bit of them. As we always do when we chop them in half, we're going to chop through the root to stop us crying. Peel off the skin. That's what we're going to be left with. And now we're just going to do a rough chop. So you're going to do 3 or 4 big chops down. Same again, going back towards the root. Again, keeping that root intact at all times. And just leaving, see that bit that's in my hand there? Bang, throw that in the bin. No more tears. Everything else that's there. Nice, onion in nice big chunks. Carrots, all quantities will be in the description below as always. We're just going to peel these carrots. Top and tail them, which means just topping off the top and the bottom. Chop them into chunks, and then each of those chunks again. And then each of those chunks, I also give them one more chop, just because I thought the pieces were just going to be a little bit too big for it. But it's entirely up to you how you do this. Garlic cloves. Again, we're going to top and tail them, which means taking off the very top and the very bottom, and we're going to peel off the skin. Super easy, this bit. That's going to leave you with the clove itself there. And we're just going to slice them nice and thin. We don't want this minced. We want kind of little pieces of garlic, but we are going to slow cook this, so these pieces are ultimately going to be little treats when you do find them. That's the chopped garlic. Into your biggest pan that you've got. Now this, I'm making a very, very big batch, but you can adjust it, and like I say, I'll do all the quantities in the description below. That's olive oil that's gone into the pan, and we've got it really nice and hot, and then we've put in some diced lamb shoulder. So when you get lamb shoulder from your butchers and they've diced it like this, it will still have the fat in there and everything. That's exactly what you want. So that's going to be, the lamb shoulder goes in there to a very hot pan with the oil, and we're just going to get it all browned off now. So give that a good mix round, allow it to catch on the pan, allow it to catch there. You can see how I'm kind of scraping it away. So scrape that round, let it sit again for a couple of minutes. Make sure it's all, any of those fresh red bits that haven't yet caught are touching some bit of metal on that pan, and let them rest for a bit. Then come back to it and scrape it all up so that your meat's browning off really, really nicely. But the pan is also full. That the oil that you cook that in, or you colour that in, is now got massive infusions of lamb flavour in there. There's those little tiny bits of meat which have stuck to the pan. It's the perfect way to do it. So now that's browned off, that probably took in total about 10 minutes. Just take out the lamb, put that onto a warm plate or in a warm bowl that's just going to wait. And you can see all that juice that's come off there. That is absolutely infused with all that lamb flavour. Into that, we're now going to soften the 2 veg, so the carrot and the onion. That's probably had about 10 to 15 minutes. This is all on a medium heat. You can see that a lot of that liquid's starting to leave. It's going into the carrot, into the onion. Those onions will eventually start sweating out, and you'll get liquid from those as well. But it's just absorbing all of that beautiful lamb flavour. See how I'm scraping away the bottom of this? All of that is flavour going into this onion and carrot. And now goes the garlic. We don't put the garlic in right at the beginning because garlic can burn if it's added right at the start. Things like the carrot's going to take the longest to soften up. So we let those carrot and onion have their time, and then we'll add the garlic later, which we've just done. In there goes chopped tomatoes, just tin chopped tomatoes, good ones. Always get Italian ones, good ones. That is Ras El Hanout. Ras El Hanout is a mixed spice, and it's got all different spices in there. It's different depending on where you get it from. It means head of the shop, and it was basically a mixture of all of the shopkeepers or the spice keepers' best spices that he or she, of course, had at that time. So that's Ras El Hanout. You can get it anywhere. If you know anyone from that part of the world, ask them if they make their own blend and get theirs, or if not, get it from a supermarket. Salt and pepper. Seasoned it, of course. The smell coming off it, even at this stage, is fantastic. Back goes our lamb with any of those juices which we caught from it. So the lamb goes back in as well. Chickpeas. I've just washed these chickpeas and given them a rub, and I've removed as many of the shells as I can. I'll put a link to the hummus video. It shows you really well how we do that. So yeah, as many of the chickpea shells as we can remove. It doesn't matter at all if you just want to put them straight from the can, obviously once they're drained. In there goes dried and chopped apricot. And now we're going to add chicken stock. So this is just going to be a chicken stock pot, one of the jelly chicken stock pots with boiling water. Keep it really, really simple. So again, that's had a really good mix. This is all kind of on the stove top at the moment in a medium heat. Now this is a tagine. That tagine has been in the oven. You put it into a cold oven and then you turn the oven on and let it build itself up to around about the 180 mark. That is going to check whether or not you've got a good quality tagine. If you just bought one from some cheap market stall from somewhere, they can crack when you first cook with them. You get it from somewhere, you get it from John Lewis or whatever, of course it's going to be perfect to cook in. But if you just brought one of these back from holiday, put it in a cold oven and let that oven get up to about 180, and that's going to tell you whether this thing is going to be able to handle cooking in. So you can see what I did was I added all of the meat, everything into that, poured on the liquid, put on the lid, put this at around about 160 degrees into the oven, and then I'll leave that in there for 4 hours. 4 hours at least. Keep checking on it, but it's going to be absolutely fine. These are all going to be kind of little toppings that go on there. So the first thing I'm going to put is some toasted pistachios. First thing to do with pistachios is to separate them from the shells. I suppose I left this in to show you that if you're ever separating pistachios, don't worry too much about getting the perfect bit of nut. I mean, there you go, look at them, gorgeous. But all those little kind of leafy, barky bits that come out when you open them, that's fine to go in as well. A dry pan on a low to medium heat. And just keep those moving around. Let them sit for a second or two. Let's keep giving them a little movement until they start getting a little bit of colour. As with most things when we say in cooking, the smell's going to tell you straight away that it's working, so you'll get a really beautiful toasted smell off those. This is some coriander. Again, it's just it's full of flavour, obviously, but it is really decorative, so we do want to get rid of things like the stalks and the stems. So just peel off any of the bigger major stems. Take those leaves and give them a nice good rough chop. We don't want to really finely mince this, we just want to give it a nice rough chop. So you'll see we probably don't do this for as long as normal. That's what we're left with, the coriander. And mint. I love the mint in this. You'll adapt it to exactly how you like to serve this, but the mint leaves, this is another way you can chop them up quite roughly, pinch them all together like a cigar, and then just chop down with a nice sharp knife, and that's going to give you your roughly chopped mint. This is just going to be some couscous for the side, so we're just going to put some dry couscous into a bowl, to which I'm going to add just some boiling water. You can add a stock like boiling water with a chicken stock in there as well. That's probably how I do it most of the time, but this one is really just a very, very, very simple couscous. Give that a little stir around, just make sure everything's covered. Put a lid on there and leave that for about 5 minutes, and then you'll get this. It will absorb all of the water into the couscous. Just fork it through. It looks a bit dry there, but that's just on camera. It's actually quite moist and it still stays lovely and hot. And it really is to accompany the tagine. You want the flavours of the lamb and the ras el hanout to really speak when we're eating this. So this is more like just an aside, just an accompaniment. Into that I'll add some mint and some pomegranate seeds. Just a tiny bit of that coriander as well. Give that a good mix round. Really, that's just to kind of jazz it up, give it a tiny little bit of colour. I'll also normally add just a tiny little bit of salt as well, just to make sure that it's seasoned right after checking it. But that's going to be our side. And here's the tagine. So once you've got that out of the oven, again, you've been checking it as it's been going on. You might give it a check every hour or every half hour or whatever you want, basically, if you're walking past the kitchen. I would normally go to it, and at this stage, you can see it's absolutely amazing. It smells fantastic. It's bubbling and boiling away. I'll give it a little mix round, just so everything, because the next stage, really, there's so much flavour in it, but it's all about presentation. So I'll give that a good mix round so you can see all those lovely big chunks of lamb on the top. Scatter over some of the toasted pistachios and your herbs. So we've got a little bit of the coriander. Those pistachios are amazing with it, by the way. It's super crunchy, but it just works with it. It's just a lovely bit of texture. The pomegranate seeds, again, they add sweetness, flavour, a little bit of a different sensation in your mouth, that kind of bite. But the colour looks fantastic as well, so really, really nice. And the mint as well. That is a lamb tagine. Put the lid back on, take that to any table in the world and it'll be appreciated. It's so full of flavour, it looks fantastic. You saw how easy it was. I put the camera here on the table because I thought you got to see me sort of serving it and portioning it up. But it's absolutely amazing. Those little carrots are so good. They're so soft and it's just a really nice treat in there. It's absolutely full of flavour, it's delicious. Yeah, amazing. Here we go, so you can see how perfect that lamb is. Just lovely and soft and pink and fantastic. The chickpeas have stayed together and got all of that shape. You get a little bit of different textures and tastes and everything. It's amazing, one of the best things ever. I really hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you make it yourself. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you on the next one.